Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mind Matters. As always, bringing you the space where we pause the noise, listen inward, and with the old from clarity, not clear. If you remember my midweek thought bite, I spoke about a question I asked. A question I was asked by someone who wanted to know when emotional abuse starts. So today we'll be talking about when emotional abuse starts. Welcome as you join us. Bear with me a minute. We'll start in a bit. We'll start in 2 minutes. So bear with me a minute. Today we're going to be talking about when emotional abuse starts. That was the question I was asked, and I made reference to in my midweek thought bites. Today we're going to unpack it. Welcome, Be Happy. Welcome, Pardesi, Kancha, and Hussein. Welcome as you come in. Today we're dealing with why or when emotional abuse starts. I'm going to dive straight in. First of all, before we begin, I want to be clear about something. This space is not about diagnosing anyone. It's not about attacking people from your past, and it's not about forcing memories or disclosures. You are not required to share anything personal here. You can listen quietly, you can step away at any point. Silence is also participation. This is not therapy, but it is awareness. This is awareness. And awareness protects. So if this brings things up for you, please remember, you don't owe this space your story. Your safety matters more than participation. So, welcome once again to Mind Matters. I welcome you as you come in. Today we'll be breaking down when emotional abuse starts, and we're looking at gaslighting. Emotional abuse doesn't start with shouting. It also doesn't start with threats, and it doesn't start with cruelty you can easily name. It starts much earlier than that. It starts the moment you're being made to doubt your own mind. Not because you're weak, not because you're confused, but because someone has slowly taught you not to trust your perception of reality. Welcome, Kaylee April, and Midnight Chaos. Welcome, guys. Yeah, that process has a name. And today we're going to get precise about what name that process is called. If you've ever said to yourself, maybe I'm overreacting, you can type Y down below. No explanation, just for you to notice. Type Y down below. Now, let's look at why the word gaslighting confuses people. Because my answer to that question when I was asked, when does emotional abuse start? My response to the person after considering the question and other things I know, my response was it starts with gaslighting. So today we're going to be looking at the word gaslighting and why it confuses people. Gaslighting is one of the most misused words of our time. People use it to describe things like disagreements, uncomfortable feedback, moments of being challenged. And when a word is used for everything, it loses its power. So let's slow this down and break it down. Gaslighting is not conflict. It is not accountability. It is not someone disagreeing with you. It isn't someone having a different opinion. Gaslighting is not about discomfort. It's actually about control of reality. And to understand why, we need to understand where the word came from. So tell me, did you know what I've just said before today? If you knew, just type K. And if you didn't know, just type N. And with that, we would go into the origin of the story. The origin of the story that brought about the name gaslighting. In 1938, a British playwright wrote a stage play called Gaslight. That story is deceptively simple. It was about a husband who begins to dim the gas-powered lights in their house. His wife notices, she comments on it, and each time she does that, he'll calmly deny. The lights aren't flickering. You're imagining things. You're being irrational. Nothing dramatic, nothing violent, just denial. His goal wasn't to win an argument. His goal was to make her doubt her perception of reality so that he can gain psychological control over her later. Welcome, Zakao786, Little Miss Blaze, welcome. So his goal was to control her psychologically, have psychological control over her. And in 1944, the play was adapted into a Hollywood film called Gaslight. The film was hugely successful, and something important happened because of the success of that movie. People finally had a language for a kind of harm that left no bruises, made no noise, but destabilized the mind. That metaphor stayed with us, and over time, gaslighting became the term we use for manipulating someone into questioning their own memory, perception, or even sanity. What's striking here is not even the drama, it's the subtlety. How subtle the whole thing is. But we have to be precise here, because if you're going to look at what gaslighting actually is, precision is very important, and we have to be precise about it. Gaslighting is not lying once. Gaslighting is actually a pattern. It is the systemic manipulation of another person's reality using 4 main mechanisms. There are other mechanisms, but these 4 are very key and very important. Each of these will be dealt with in different episodes. But tonight, we need to see the whole shape. Gaslighting works because it doesn't attack your intelligence. It attacks your confidence in your perception. So if you're confident in your perception, what gaslighting does is to attack that confidence. Welcome, Sister Deimika. Thank you for coming. Stephen Amor, welcome. I see you guys. Mick Lion, welcome. Thank you for joining. So like I said, each of the 4 main mechanisms will be dealt with in different episodes following this particular one. But tonight we need to see the whole shape so that we know that gaslighting works because it doesn't attack your intelligence, it attacks your confidence in your perception. Now, we could play, brief game about gaslighting to differentiate gaslighting from disagreement. So I'm going to name scenarios, and you can respond by just typing G, which is gaslighting, N, not gaslighting, and U, if you're unsure. So the first scenario I'm going to mention, welcome OSC. Good evening, my sister. Good evening. Welcome. Thanks for joining. The first scenario is, listen to this, attentively. I see it differently, but I hear that you are hurt. What do you think about that statement? Is it gaslighting? Not gaslighting? Or you're unsure? Just type G if it's gaslighting, N not gaslighting, U if you're unsure. Ayaba Fentoli, welcome. Thank you for joining. The second statement, you're too sensitive. That didn't happen. Just type G if you think that's gaslighting, N if it's not gaslighting, and U if you're unsure. Okay, so I'm going to read some scenarios. We're playing a brief game to discern the difference between gaslighting and ordinary disagreement. We're still going to talk about this much later in great detail. But for now, let's just play this game to have a feel of what we think. I will name the scenarios and you just respond by typing G for gaslighting, N for not gaslighting, and U if you are unsure whether it's gaslighting or not. Thank you, Ayaba Faintul. Welcome once again. So the first scenario is a statement. All the scenarios are statements. So just follow me. I see it differently, but I hear that you are hurt. Do you consider that statement a gaslighting statement? If you think, put G. If you think it's not gaslighting, put N. If you are unsure, put U. The next one, you're too sensitive. That didn't happen. Again, same thing. Next scenario, let's talk about what you feel and what I meant. So the point is, let's talk about what you felt and what I meant. Is that gaslighting or not? Or you're unsure? I'm not sure what M means, but I think the letters are G for gaslighting, N for not gaslighting, and U for unsure. So again, I'll read the scenarios again. I say it differently, but I hear that you are hurt. You see, G, N, or U. You're too sensitive. That didn't happen. Again, is it G, N, or U? What do you think? Why do you always twist things? Is it G, N, or U? Let's talk about what you felt and what I meant. G, N, U. The goal of this is because we need to reflect patterns, not people. Now, why the word disappeared and returned? I'll have you know that for decades, the word gaslighting disappeared from mainstream use. Not because it stopped happening, but because people lacked emotional language. Many people experienced confusion, self-doubt, emotional erosion, but blamed themselves. So in the mid-2010s, conversations around emotional abuse, power, trauma, all that became unavoidable to talk about. And the word returned because it named something people had lived without. The language, they didn't know what language, or they are lost about what language to describe it. But now it's returned. So in 2022, gaslighting was named Word of the Year by Merriam-Webster, not because it was trendy, but because it was descriptive and it was mostly used by those who checked for words within it. So let's do a brief check-in. Type R if learning this word helped you make sense of something later in your life. Now let's look at the core truths about this subject matter. Here's a line I want you to remember. You could take a pen and paper and note it down. It will be very helpful for you. Gaslighting is not about making you believe a lie. Again, I'll repeat. Gaslighting is not about making you believe a lie. It's about making you question the truth you already know. I'll take that again so that it can sink. Gaslighting is not about making you believe a lie. That's not where the gaslighting is. It is about making you question the truth that you already know. And once that happens, what you will find is you will defer. You may even begin to apologize. You may shrink. And you may doubt yourself before anyone else can. However, this is not weakness. That is what human beings do when they feel connection. When the connection they have, they feel is threatened. Because we are wired to feel connection, to crave it, to nurture it, to want it, right? But in this kind of circumstances, and this is one of the reasons why gaslighting succeeds, because we don't want that connection broken, this is what we essentially do when we feel that that connection is being threatened. Now, I'm just going to kind of put something forward here. You don't need to explain anything, but just one word in the chat. So far, what part has stayed with you? Just words only. Silence is also welcome if you like. Okay, that's fine. Welcome, sis. Thank you for joining. Welcome. If if you want to come up, please just request to come up, and I'll be able to honor that request. Thank you for joining, everyone. Thank you. So, what I want to do, perhaps we should look at how reality gets taken from you using gaslighting. That might be able to, you know, take us to another place. But this time around, we'll be focusing on one of the four key areas, one of which is emotional direction. Tej Carol, welcome. One of which is emotional direction, when your feelings become the problem. Now, again, like I said earlier, before we begin, I'd just like to remind you guys again, you're not required to share personal details here. You can listen quietly. You can step away at any point. This is not therapy. Hello, Tandinye. Welcome. Thank you for joining. Hello, Tandinye.
Hello,
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine.
Welcome.
How about you?
Thank you for joining. I'm all right. I'm all right. So I'll just go through a bit of this thing if you mute for a bit, and if you have any questions or anything you wanna, you can kind of talk about it. Is that okay? Or do you have questions about what we've already talked about?
No, I'm just gonna listen to you.
All right. So I'll go to so like I was saying, you're not required to share personal details. You can listen quietly. You can step away at any point. This is not therapy. It is awareness, and awareness protects you. And that's what we're trying to do. Because they say knowledge is power, and awareness is a part of knowledge which empowers you. So, gaslighting doesn't start with denial, it doesn't start with rewriting events. It actually starts earlier than that. It starts the moment your feelings become the distraction, not the behavior. In other words, not what they did to you, which you reacted to. It is not the impact what they did to you had on you, and it's not your feelings. Just stay with me for a moment. In the meantime, if you've ever said maybe I'm just too sensitive, again, you can type Y in the comment section. These are some of the feelings that you get. No explanation, no notice, just type Y. It's part of acknowledging what feelings you have or get from the impact of doubting your own reality, the truth that you see or you already know. Now, I'm going to go straight to what emotional redirection is, because some of you might be wondering what that is and what it looks like. So I'll explain what emotional redirection is. Emotional redirection happens when you raise a concern, and instead of your concern being addressed, or the person you're raising the concern to, instead of them addressing what happened, they shift focus to how you feel about it. So they will do things like comment about your reaction to it rather than addressing the issue, the situation. The conversation quietly moves from what did you do to what's wrong with you for feeling this way? And in that kind of circumstance, in those kind of circumstances, what you'll find is that nothing is resolved. It's like sweeping the dirt under the rug or carpet, whichever illustration you want to use. Nothing is resolved. The pain is postponed. Uh, it's not disagreement, and there is no clarification. They just change the target. That's all. So when you raise the issue, the target when you raise the issue is the behavior, the impact it had on you, and expressing your feelings, right? But the response that comes straight away, which is the emotional direction we're talking about, is to kind of bring it back to how you reacted to what they have done so that they don't have to deal with what they've done. They now deal with your reaction and make you, who's the victim, they make you the villain. I'll give you some real life examples, you know. So please listen closely. Let's look at, say, first example. You tell someone, I feel hurt when you said that, or I felt hurt when you said that. And they respond, oh, come on, you're too sensitive, right? Or they say something like, you overreact, or like you're temperamental, right? What just happened? You'll find that in that situation, their behavior just disappeared and your own emotional legitimacy is now on trial. So instead of them addressing what they have done, which you are bringing to them about the impact it has on you or it had on you, they put your emotional legitimacy, they put that on trial and start probing it. And this is where you begin to see the problem. Let me give you another example. You tell someone, that comment embarrassed me. And they say, I was joking. Why are you like this? Now, the issue isn't the comment, it's now your reaction to that comment. Again, eroding the validity of your own emotions about what they have said. Let me give you a third example. You said to someone, that crossed a boundary for me, or I didn't like that what you did. And they say, you're making a big deal out of nothing. You see what's been done there? This is where you see that boundaries are reframed as exaggeration. So you don't want someone to cross this line, which most times you will have let them know that this line you don't want to cross because of whatever reason that you have a problem with the line being crossed, right? But then what do? They minimize what you have said. They minimize your boundary and make it look like you are exaggerating things. This is emotional direction. But the question now is, why does emotional direction work? Why does it work? Because we're all smart, or a lot of us can claim being smart, being streetwise, and all of that. But we're not all immune to gaslighting because it comes in many different shapes and forms. And the reason why emotional direction, one of the mechanisms that is used to carry this dastardly act out, the reason why it works is that humans are wired for connection. When emotional legitimacy is threatened, many people instinctively soften their position, apologize, even if they don't know what they're apologizing for, they withdraw, or they self correct. Now, I'm going to pick on two of these positions, right? Because again, it may feel like this in a conversation, but people also use these tools to gaslight you. So, for example, you talk to somebody about something that they've done that you don't like, all right? And they try to push your boundary, but you refuse to bend on moving your boundary. No arguments, no shouting or anything like that. Nothing aggressive. But then they proceed to then apologize for whatever it is that they might have done. That, okay, I apologize for it. Whatever it is that is the problem, I apologize for it. Instead of creating a situation where you will discuss what happened, why it happened, and how that made you feel, so that for example, I can know that, oh, okay, this is why you felt this way. And I can guard against it next time, right? But they will apologize for what they don't even know anything about or what they don't even accept that they have done, just to close the case. In which case, it robs you of the opportunity to adequately deal with the issue, perhaps so that it doesn't happen again in the future. So, this is another thing. And sometimes those who withdraw because they use that also as a weapon to kind of gaslight you because you want emotional connection. You see withdrawal as a threat to that connection, and you begin to try to soften your position that, okay, maybe if I soften it, it's not a big deal, and all of that. So you think you are self correcting, but all of this is not because they were wrong, but because belonging feels at risk. So if you find yourself in any of these situations, it's not really because you are wrong. Hello. Oh, Shila Kwaremi, welcome. Thank you for
Thank you,
joining.
sir.
Yeah. So it's not because you are wrong, but because belonging feels at risk, and that is exactly what emotional redirection exploits. It exploits that we are wired that way as human beings. So it doesn't silence you by force. That's emotional redirection. It just makes you silent yourself. So you find that you are the one who becomes silent and just generally moves away. Now, again, maybe we'll play another round of gaslight or not. I'm going to again mention certain scenarios, their statements, and then you just type G for gaslighting if you think it's gaslighting, and if you think it's not gaslighting, and U if you're unsure. Again, no explanations. So, first statement: I hear that you are hurt. Help me understand. Do you think that's G for gaslighting, N not gaslighting, or U for unsure? And then the next statement: I didn't mean it like that, so you shouldn't feel hurt. The next one: your feelings matter. Let's talk about what happened. Do you think that's gaslighting? Not gaslighting. Or you're unsure? The next one: why do you always take things personally? Again, is that gaslighting? Not gaslighting. Or you're unsure? And lastly, I'm sorry, that wasn't my intention. I can see how it landed. Gaslighting, not gaslighting, or are you unsure? So at this point, I would pause to give people the opportunity. If you want to ask any questions at this juncture or you want to say something, please feel free to come up or type your question in the comment section. In the meantime, in all of the scenarios I painted up there, which I just called out, what you can do is to notice which responses stabilize you and which ones destabilize you. Just imagine that there is an issue and those things I mentioned, those statements I mentioned were responses to your hello, Don Calvert. Thank you for joining. Those responses were what you got. Which one stabilized you and which one destabilized you? If you have any questions or you want to make some contributions at this point, please feel free to to do that at this point before we move on.
I just joined you, so I don't even know what to contribute.
Okay. It's all right. It's all right. You can still listen, and perhaps something might come up. What we're talking about, I was asked a question at one gathering where someone asked me, when does emotional abuse start? So my response to the person was that it starts with gaslighting. And I thought that it would be a good thing to discuss and break down what gaslighting is, on
Okay.
this program today. Because people generally use the word gaslighting, 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 gaslighting to the point that it kind of, seemingly is beginning to lose its actual power. And it confuses people as to what really is gaslighting and what's not. And if you don't understand what gaslighting is, which is the beginning of emotional abuse, then you become more vulnerable. It increases your risk to being abused emotionally. And before you know what's going on, you know, it becomes a vicious cycle. And that's what we are trying to prevent by creating this awareness, breaking things down, and looking at the different ways that gaslighting happens. So we've talked about what gaslighting really is, the history of gaslighting, and how you know it became gaslighting, why it is referred to as gaslighting, and how it is being used. So those are the things we are breaking down, and we're trying to use some scenarios, to kind of show the patterns.
Okay.
So I'll just continue. Yeah, that's what we are doing so far. So I'll just continue. Maybe
Okay.
you'll be able to then, get more from it. Now, let's look at the internal shift that this phenomenon creates. You will notice that over time, emotional redirection teaches you a dangerous habit. You begin to question your feelings before questioning behavior. You start asking, am I overreacting? Am I being dramatic? Or should I just let this go? That internal questioning feels like maturity, but often it is conditioning. It's not maturity. So if you have to be thinking of, you know, whether you are being dramatic or not, then you know that that is conditioning now. It's not because you are matured, it's because you are conditioned. One thing we can do is to check in. In the scenarios I mentioned above, if you apologize quickly to restore peace, not really because you understood what has happened. Okay, sorry. Okay, someone jumped queue and you said no, and the person tried to make you feel like a bad person because you refused. Thank you. That's a classic example of trying to twist your reality. We've got to understand one thing about gaslighting. It's very subtle, and that's why I talk about. Yeah, it is gaslighting. It is gaslighting because the problem now is not their behavior, which you responded to. The problem is you because you responded to their bad behavior. So the goal is to control is to psychologically control your reality. So the truth that you know that look, you are on the queue. Everyone is on the queue. They jumped the queue for no apparent reason. It's not an emergency. It's not anything that requires a priority attention, but they jumped the queue. And then because you challenge that, they're not looking at their behavior. They're looking at your audacity to challenge them. Probably because in that place, nobody would typically challenge them. Nobody would typically challenge them, but you did. And because you did, you must be the hothead and, the one who has an issue for challenging them. This is an example of twisting the reality. What gaslighting does is to try to change your perception of what is true, right? Your perception of what is true. That's what the goal is. The goal is to change your reality so that they can control you. They can psychologically control your reality. So the good thing there. Welcome, T-Babs. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. And the goal is to be aware of what this thing is, the mechanisms that are used to bring it on, and how you can protect yourself against it. Because like we said, protection, awareness is protection. This is not therapy or trying to kind of diagnose anyone. This is just creating awareness. This is creating awareness so that you can be more empowered and you can cite this thing when it is happening before you get sucked in. Like I said, this is because it's very subtle. It is a very subtle thing, It's very subtle. Tibab, do you want to come up? If you have any question or anything to ask about, I don't know if you've been following us, but anyway, if you have any question, please let me know. You can come up and or any contributions. Thank you very much. Thank you for the gifts. So, like I was saying, this is what we need to do. Let's do a quick check-in on what we've just said. Again, no judgments, no awareness. It's just simply awareness. So type A if you apologize quickly to restore peace. Genuinely, not the one that you do to sweep the matter under the rug. Because on the flip side, that can also be a gaslighting tool. To apologize to someone for whatever, which is blanket, when there are no specifics, and you still hold inside you something that you intend to use against them in the future. You see, that is twisted, but it looks like you are apologizing for you are being, we recognize all of those things. Welcome, T-Babs. In the meantime, before I carry on, do you have anything you want to say or question you want to ask so far?
Not really. I just came in right now. I'm so sorry I'm late.
Oh, no, it's all right. So I'll just continue. So type A if you apologize quickly to restore peace, and type W if you withdraw instead. These two are also tools that can be used to gaslight someone. And I explained earlier, even though these two could mean that you are being gaslit because you don't want the emotional connection to break, so it makes you apologize quickly just so that there will be peace. The difference is that let's start with the apologizing quickly to restore peace. There are two different things. Something has happened. Somebody has maybe a friend, a business partner, or even a loved one has raised an issue or a concern with you about something that you did or you omitted to do, right? And your response is to acknowledge how they feel, like, oh my God, I didn't mean you. Maybe, oh my God, that made you feel bad? I didn't mean to make you feel bad. Can we talk about, how, that affected you? So there is the bit of genuinely wanting to know what happened. And then when you get to know what happened, you apologize quickly to restore peace and amend things. You see that in this scenario, you are apologizing for a specific thing that you have seen and understood has happened. And you understand the impact it has had on that person. So one thing you wanted to know genuinely, you got to know and then you took steps to deal with the problem to appease the person. That is specific. It is totally, totally different from you not wanting to know why the person was impacted in that way, but just saying, all right, you know what? I'm sorry. For whatever it might be, I'm sorry. You have robbed in this scenario I've just mentioned now, you have robbed the person of the opportunity of recognizing genuine validation of their emotions about what has happened. You have robbed them of the opportunity of discussing the issue and reaching a meaningful resolution. And you have also demonstrated that you are not interested in whatever their feelings are. So you've been dismissive. So these are the two different things. So you may apologize quickly to restore peace, but the question is, what is the process that led to you apologizing quickly to restore peace? That is what makes the difference. Now, if we go to withdrawal instead, yeah, some people may withdraw because they're genuinely confused as to what to do, but they also don't want that connection to be severed. The flip side is that some people will withdraw because they will move away from discussing that issue so that they will not be accountable for it. Again, these are two different things that look similar, but their impacts are different. Papacha, welcome. Their impacts are different, their meanings are different, but the action appears to be the same. The ability to know the difference, again, is the awareness we're talking about. No judgment, just awareness. Now, the question now is what this is not. I need us to be clear on one thing. Again, I'll say this episode is not about intent, it's not about misunderstandings, and it's not about who's right. All we are doing here is trying to help one another recognize patterns and not assigning motives. So we're not saying why somebody is behaving in a particular way. We're just trying to help, recognize patterns. And patterns always tell a story. And this is where discernment will follow. So clarity first. We need to be clear about what we are seeing and what is happening and how it's unfolding. And then we can discern after that. So let's look at maybe another little interactive session. I'll appreciate participation if you're able to. In this one, the title is Survival or Strategy. All right. So I'm going to, mention some behaviors, and then you'll type S if you think it's survival, and P if you think it's just the person's personality. Now, saying it's fine when it's not, is that a survival mode or is just the person's personality? Explaining your feelings repeatedly. This behavior, is it survival or is it personality? Okay. Apologizing for having needs. Let me explain that if that's not very clear. So you need something and you ask for it, but the person you ask from snaps at you, and you apologize. "Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. Never mind." Would you call that survival strategy, which is S, or it's a personality trait, which is P?
Survival strategy.
Yeah, survival strategy. Okay. So, what about avoiding conflict to keep peace? Remember what I explained about the two different versions of avoiding conflict, in quote, to keep peace. One, you know this specific issue, and you try to deal with the issue along those lines so that the person who's complaining can be rest assured that you are interested and you just want it resolved and you want peace. The other one is you avoid discussing what the problem is, right? In your mind, you claim for peace to reign in the name of peace, but you still hold that thing to use against the person later in the future when they are not aware or when they are not planning or even thinking about what has happened. So when you apologize for avoiding conflict to keep peace, you've got to look at these two scenarios to determine whether that is a survival behavior or a personality trait behavior.
Do you need answer on that?
Yeah.
It's a survival behavior. It's a survival behavior because, yeah.
Why do you think it's a survival behavior?
Survival behavior is survival because you don't want to discuss about that and you want to keep going. You want everything. You don't even want explanation. You don't want to know what you did. All you want to is, let's close this shit and move on. So you're trying to survive.
Yeah.
You are not,
okay.
You understand? So it's survival strategy.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, I get that. All right. Now, the last one, when you are second guessing emotional reactions, is that survival strategy or personality traits? Let me explain that bit. So, somebody, maybe your loved one, you are with your loved one, and there is just quiet. Nobody is talking about anything. You're not talking to each other, not because there is conflict, or at least that you are aware of. And then suddenly the person just does something like, and hisses. And then you begin to second guess, like, did I do something wrong? What happened now? And you begin to ask them. So is that survival or is that personality?
Is personality.
Do you want to kind of
Explain
tell us
it,
why you
right?
think
Yeah.
why you think it's personality?
Yeah, personality is because that is not what you actually want. It's not what you expect from the person. So if you are not, if it's not personal to you, you wouldn't want to know what really happened or why did she do that. So yeah, do you understand? So for me, it's personal. I mean, for you, his or his on me, it's personal to me. So that's why it's a personal. What do you put it? P rather,
Yeah.
personal shall. Yeah.
Yeah, but would your answer be different if the hissing wasn't on you? It was just a random hissing, that's got no pointers to you. It doesn't point to you. There is no indication it's about you. But even though you still don't know what it's about. Even though there is no indication
I will still
about you.
take it. I will still
You
take it
still
personal. I
take
will
it.
still
Okay.
want to know. It's still personal. You can't ease while I'm talking. If it's to me or not to me, you need an explanation. So it's my personality. Don't accept that. So it's P.
Okay. All right then. Anyway, the key line here is what once kept you safe can later keep you silent. We need to always remember that. And that would depend on how you interact, how you perceive that thing, and how you interact with it. Now, let's look at integration. Here's the sentence to remember. Emotional redirection trains you.
Mind matter, please, 1 second. I was trying to power tap, but I can't. I don't know why. And again, I'm writing P is showing 0. Or what is it showing from you there?
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
I was seeing 0. That's why I repeated this thing.
So I don't know. It shows P here when I click P, but it shows 0.
Yeah.
So I don't know what
But
happened.
I'm glad you are up, so you're able to clarify that.
So exactly. All right. Okay.
Which is helpful. Thank you for that. Right. So yeah, here's a sentence I would like everyone to kind of remember. and that is that emotional direction, or emotional redirection, rather, trains you to distrust your feelings before you ever question the facts. That's why gaslighting doesn't begin with memory. It begins with emotion. And this is why I answered that lady, that lovely lady who asked me at that gathering, when does emotional abuse start? It starts with gaslighting. And we've just dealt with one of the mechanisms through which gaslighting is operated, emotional redirection. So they redirect your emotion and make your emotion the problem rather than their behavior, which you are reacting to. Now, you don't need to explain anything, but I would like the audience, if you like, to please type one word that describes how emotional redirection feels. Look at it from these ones I'm going to list. Does it make you feel, do you feel it's confused? Is it small? Is it tired? Is it doubtful? Is it unseen? What one word for you describes how emotional redirection feels? And silence is welcome also. So, one word that describes how emotional redirection feels for you: confused, small, tired, doubtful, unseen. Which one is it?
Can you repeat the 5 things again?
So the 5 things are confused. So I just need one word that describes how you feel about emotional redirection. Is it confused? Is it small? Is it tired, doubtful, or unseen? Okay. Okay. No problem. In the next episode, because we're reaching the end of this episode. In the next episode, we'll be talking about time, not healing time, but weaponized time. And this is where we'll go into the next mechanism that gaslighting is that gaslighting takes form with. So we'll be looking at delayed information. When answers come late, clarity fades and you are blamed for not moving on. So stay with me. Your mind matters. But before we go, I would like to kind of introduce some listening workbook exercise. This is for you to kind of use at home for your own, for your understanding or reflection, if you like. And I'm gonna start that by, if you bear with me 1 minute. Now, let's look at language check, which is very important. And this is a workbook for you to work with. If you have a pen and paper, you can write this down. It's going to be very helpful. I promise you that. So before this episode, this is you thinking to yourself now. So before this episode, I thought gaslighting meant what? So you write out what you thought gaslighting meant before this episode. And then after this episode, I understand gaslighting as. So after this episode now, what do you understand gaslighting to be? And then the next one is pattern awareness. We want to test in your own private time, how aware are you about patterns? Have you ever doubted your memory after a conversation? That's for you to answer. You don't need to. It's for your reflection. Have you ever apologized just to restore peace? And have you ever questioned your emotional legitimacy? That is, whether your emotion is valid. Just circle what applies out of these three in this section 2 of the reflection. Now, the section 3 part of the workbook that you can, again, for your reflection, is a gentle reflection. You can complete this sentence. I didn't lose trust in myself at all. All at once. I didn't lose trust in myself all at once. It happened when you complete it for your own reflection. Whatever happened that made you lose trust in yourself at some point. No pressure to finish it, but again, we have 7 days before we meet again, next week. So you have a lot of time to look at the whole thing and to reflect upon what what these mean to you. Then another one that I think might also help for reflection. Bear with me a minute. Yeah, another one that I feel might also help for reflection would be let's look at recognizing. Hello, Luna. Welcome. Thank you, Luna. Another one I feel you could do is also another workbook that I think will help. Let's look at recognition. Circle what you have heard. You're too sensitive. Why are you like this? You are making a big deal out of nothing. I was just joking. Circle which one you recognize that you might have heard of. Just one. And if there are more than one, you can circle as many as you've heard. The other part that you need to, again, for your self-reflection, is to consider internal check. You can complete this sentence. When I express hurt, I often end up feeling dash instead. So when I express hurt, I often end up feeling whatever it is you feel instead. You can complete that part. Also, this is for your reflection, because reflection forms part of understanding the concept we're trying to put out there, and that's what will help you become aware. It is what will help you become aware, and you'll be able to recognize the patterns and your own feelings, because that's, in any event, recognizing how you feel and how your feelings are treated is very important. Then the other part you need to look at is reframing the situation. You could write this somewhere visible. My feelings are signals, not problems. And that's the truth. How you feel about something or someone or about a situation is a signal. It's not necessarily a problem. It's primarily a signal. A signal for what? That is for you to consider, depending on the circumstances you are facing. And then number 4, you could practice this is optional, but again, it's up to you. It's for your own reflection, for your own understanding and awareness. So this week, try to notice when you apologize quickly, when you minimize yourself, and when peace costs clarity. So you are going for peace, but you are still not clear on what the issue is or how to fix the issue. But in this case, in this practice, what I'm requesting you to do is just notice. Don't fix anything, just notice. Notice when you apologize quickly. In what circumstances have you found yourself apologizing quickly? In what circumstances have you minimized yourself? And in what circumstances have you chosen peace, which costs you clarity? Like I always say, if this brings things up for you, please remember you don't owe this space your story. Your safety matters more than participation. And all I can say at this moment is thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your participation and interaction. I'll see you next week. Bring a friend, a family member, a colleague, your loved ones, and your community. There is a whole lot to unpack and learn here. And I'm grateful for all of you that stayed. And there's still more to go. Next week, we will be talking about delayed information, one of the mechanisms of gaslighting. Until then, thank you all. God bless you. If anybody has any questions to ask at this minute or anything to say, the floor is open.
T-Babs, ask question now. Not until when we get to T-Babs.
Say, have you taken your seat here again? Because this down, mind matter. Have you given her seat again? Do you allow her to claim a seat here again?
Oh,
Actually,
you better don't allow her to claim
mind
a seat
matters.
there.
Mind matters. Grammar is too much for me. I want to contribute, but I don't want my teeth to pull out.
No worry, we'll consider.
Mind matter, if you have to be asking questions, put her beside you, just beside you.
No problem.
T-Babs, mind yourself. Mind yourself.
If it's to cause and do everything, she will be part of you. All right, man. Thanks for having me here. We're going to T-Babs. I need to go and start the live now. All right,
I think we have to announce this place to T-Babs family too. Because a lot of people don't know that something like this is coming up.
Yeah.
A very interesting topic.
Thank you very much, man.
It's all right. We'll do that. At least since it's not jam-packed with our live program. So we can be here, and from here we go to go to our live.
It's just 1 hour every week.
Yeah. That's
It's very nice.
It's all right.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful night, everybody. Goodbye.
See you later.
Bye. All right then. Bye. Thank you.